Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Politics 2.0, a SAR Political Reveal. So, today we have a very special guest here with us tonight, and it is none other than Member of Parliament Hirunika Premachandra, a leading political figure here in Sri Lanka, an activist, and someone who stands up for the people through her actions. So, first and foremost, I would like to remind you that you can tune in to us through the Relax Radio app available on the Play Store and App Store. Also, do tune in to us through our social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Along with that being said, you can call or text us on 078 if you have any opinions and if you have any questions to ask us. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome Hirunika Premachandra to our program. Good evening, Hirunika. How are you doing?
Good evening. Your instruction should be changed former parliamentarian.
Former parliamentarian. So sorry about that.
It's
Okay,
fine, it's fine.
before we begin, Hirunika, could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into the realm of politics?
Well, I think everybody in this country know that my father was a former parliamentarian who was killed uh, in an election during an election in 2011, um, 10 years, 11 years ago, in October 8th, October 8th. So after, I was about 23 at that time, and I finished my LLB degree, and then I was supposed to study in Colombo Law College in here, and I was studying for the attorneys, and then in 2011 when this incident happened, actually my mother was supposed to enter politics. You know how it is, like in South
Yes.
Asian countries, when
Yes.
a politician dies, then the wife or the children uh, they normally enter into politics. Even though I don't agree, but at that time I can remember all my father's supporters. They all asked someone from the family should get into politics and all that. And then my mother was keen on that, and then my father's case started, and then I was completely involved in that, and I completely postponed my studies and focusing on the case. Because of that, I had a huge media attention. So after that, my father's supporters said, since all the media support and the public support is towards me, I should get into politics. I was 23. I was 23 or 4. So I was very young. First, I was hesitant, but eventually I agreed. And then after that, I contested for the provincial council in 2014, and then I was elected as a provincial council member, scoring highest amount of votes. And then in 2015, when Maithripala Sirisena crossed over for the good governance, along with him, I also crossed over. And then in 2015 August, I was elected as a parliamentarian. And from for last 10 years I've been doing politics, and in 2020 I couldn't win the election, but now I'm the national organizer in the women's wing in Samagi Jana Balawegaya. At the moment I'm not in the parliament, but I work as an activist.
Okay. Thank you, Hirunika. So, moving on to our next question. Sri Lanka is a country that is diverse in culture and is a country that is home to diversity in terms of politics as well, right? So, Hirunika, what do you think happened to this country in terms of politics? And what do you think are the causes of this massive socio-political and economical crisis that we are currently facing?
The main reason I would say, um, we were throughout the years we were divided by race, uh, you know, religion, caste, culture, by the politicians, by all these politicians for their own gain. it's easier for them to divide and rule. It has always been like that. So because of that, we are divided as men and women. We are divided as Muslims, Tamils, and Sinhalese. So because of that, we don't have the citizens in the country. We don't have equal opportunities. This is one of the reasons that we are in this mess. Socially, we are in this mess because of that. I think politically, throughout the years, all these political parties and leaders, they only thought about how to develop their party, how to do for party politics rather than how to develop the country. They always thought about how to develop the party. So whenever they become, whenever they get into power, they forget that uh, they are there because of people's vote. They always try to develop the party, or maybe they always benefit or the beneficiaries are always the members of the party, or so not the whole country, not the citizen of the country. So this is one of the reasons that politically we are in this mess. Always politically they think of the party, how
Yeah,
to
very
develop. I
selfish
mean,
when it comes
to
to
how
this.
to come forward as a party, not come forward as a country. And economically, I think because of the corruption um, because of uh, uh, these uh, some projects that unnecessary projects, unnecessary debts. So all these, because of all these, uh, I mean, the leaders who had been there never took decisions. When they have to take decisions, they always keep this step back, and so these are the reasons that we are in a mess like this. Not taking decision at the right time. Uh, these are the main reasons that we are in a mess like this, I think.
Thank you, Hirunika. I think I quite heartedly agree with what you just said, and it is really detrimental to see what's going on in our country. And these people that we've elected are supposed to represent us, they are supposed to take care of us. And them being selfish and only thinking about themselves and in terms of party politics and trying to divide us is truly detrimental and it's terrible. Moving on, this is another question that we've received. The question is: the youth and everyone else in Sri Lanka protested against the corruption and the political dogma that dictated our nation and made us plummet down towards this massive socio-political and economical crisis. Do you think that the organized protest, the Aragalaya, had an effect, and where is it standing right now?
Of course, so many things has changed because of this article. It's so refreshing to firstly, it's so refreshing to see youth, you know, youngsters who are after their A levels, after their studies. We've always seen they have, I mean, most of them, they have no goals. They're always after entertainment, or, they're just living their life, like teenagers. But because of this Aragalaya, I mean, I can see huge amount of youngsters are much more interested in politics, interested in changing the system. The fact that they came out and went to go face Aragalaya and demanded a system change and demanded Rajapaksas to resign is so refreshing to see, because we have never witnessed this kind of engagement uh, throughout these years. And the other thing is that, as I said before, all these politicians, mainly Rajapaksas, they have always divided us as, uh, I mean, uh, we were divided as Muslims, Tamils, and Sinhalese. All these, mainly we have a huge amount of extremists in this country.
Yes.
I think it has changed because of this Aragale. You can't see. I mean, I would. I think in
I
future
personally visited.
nobody would be able to
Uh,
divide us
yes, like we could
like
see the
that.
unity within Aragale itself.
Yes.
Because I
And the
witnessed.
other thing is, I
Yeah,
think the other thing has changed is that Rajapaksas. I think even in our dreams, we've never thought that this Rajapaksa regime will resign. You
yeah, it
know,
is
it has
huge.
happened.
Yes, it is.
It's true that they have come out again because of Rani Rajapaksa, but now, but we, I mean, the fact that the whole family resigned, I mean, it's unbelievable. Thinking about it, going back in days and thinking about it, it's kind of it's unbelievable. I think these are the best thing has happened because of the Aragale. People are united now, uh, especially youth and women are out. Have you ever seen this amount of, I mean, this much of women coming out and protesting against the government?
I think this
Because we've
is
always seen men are always out, but mothers,
yes.
they are not. I mean, they were not vocal before this Aragali. I think the fact that the people are united and coming out and demanding answers from the politician, confrontation, uh, uh, that this is amazing. So I think we've gained so much because of this Aragali.
I think, as you said, Hirunika, the Aragale had become a turning point in Sri Lankan political history as well. And that being said, as you said, even I witnessed the Aragale. There was no division amongst anyone. All of them came together for a united cause. And I believe, as you said, the cause was fruitful. And as you said, we have achieved something that we have dreamed for in a long time. And thank you, Hirunika, for answering that question. We move on to our next question. And the question is, what are the economic plans that we should go for in order to rebuild our country? Because our country is currently facing a massive economic crisis. And what do you think should be our macro and microeconomic goals? And how are we to implement them? What can we, as citizens of the country, and you as representations of the citizens, power in politics and everything, what can we do to make sure that Sri Lanka as an economy gets back up on its feet?
Since I'm not an economist, I won't be able to go into details. But as a youngster and a women parliamentarian, ex-parliamentarian, when I can see a picture where we can get out of this mess, I think first of all we are in this mess because of um, uh, of these political leaders not taking decision at the right time. That's one of the reasons, and also short-sighted economic policies. And and the other thing would be terrible mismanagement. You know, and first of all, restructuring foreign debt is a must. We can't restructure local debts because of then the bank system will collapse. So I think, and also the other thing is that so we throughout the years from by so many governments we have taken huge amount of debt from other countries, foreign institutions. Uh, I mean, and also huge interest rate. First, we have to find out there should be a transparency. And I must tell you, even the parliamentarian who are in the parliament, they also don't know why this government had taken this money from these countries and the institutions, and what are the projects behind this money. No, this even the 22 to 225 people, they also don't know. So just imagine, even the countrymen, we also don't know what's happening to these this this money, and why, what are they using it for, what are the projects. There should be a transparency. I think throughout the years, there are huge, this government had taken huge amount of debt. First
Yeah,
of all, find out what are those debts for, how many, what are the interest rates are, and what are the projects that those money used for. I think that should be the first investigation. Whatever the whoever the government come into power next time, those are the main steps that they should do. to uh, to regain and to start all over, I think.
Thank you, Hirunika. I think the best analogy we can give to what you answered just now is the way we run a company, a business organization, right? So when it comes to business organization, all transactions, everything that they invest into, there is transparency. And I don't think we were able to witness that with the former governments and everything. So as you said, I think we should definitely investigate where our money has gone to. And
Yeah,
now we have a question.
and there are bilateral and collateral uh, agreements between these countries, right? And do we as citizens, like in developed countries, in USA, UK, when there's a some kind of a uh, contract between countries or institution, the whole country knows what is the contract is, what are we agreeing on, what are we disagreeing on, and what are they offering, what are we offering. We should have that kind of transparency within the government and the people. Unfortunately, people have never demanded that in this country, and even the government, they've never questioned, they were never answered, they never answered our questions. So I think this should start, whoever the government come into power next, have to have that kind of a transparency with the community, with the citizens, I think.
Hirunika, we've received a question from our audience. So the question is, a majority of the Sri Lankan youth despise politics and the idea of getting into politics. Are the politicians of our country responsible for this tragedy? What this?
Yeah, it can, yeah. Yes, it can be, because people have no faith in politicians. People have no faith in the system and also the parliament. If you take the parliament, parliament is a place where you just throw things at each other, and it just when you look at the parliament, you don't have that. When you see the parliament, the other countries, when you look at those parliaments, those speeches, you see some kind of a responsibility, some kind of a uh, I mean, it's look like a parliament where people are governed by. But this here, the parliament is such a mess, and also it's like a circus
It
in
is.
very yeah. So why would youngsters? Why would they believe in politicians? What have they done to believe in them? So I think that's true. But I think I'm optimistic, as I always say. This system and this political system can be changed. The only way of changing is, there are people who are interested in politics, youngsters who think they can make a difference. So why not come forward? And why not come forward and uh, get involved in politics, get involved in these dialogues, and try to be that change. The change is us, change is myself, change is you. We can be the change.
I believe that we have the power to change everything as we are. We have the right to vote. And as long as we have that right to vote, we can change. And if we elect the right people into parliament, if we elect the right people with the right ideals and mindset, I think we can change. Hopefully, we can change. And with that being said, Hirunika, another question I wanted to ask you is, what is the advice you can give someone? And since we had a previous question from the audience asking if it's the politician's responsibility that youngsters despise politics. If there is a youngster, someone from the youth who is interested in getting into politics, what should their first step be? How should they enter into the realm of politics?
See, I think we all have our own policies, right? And see, I don't as an individual, I don't believe in party politics. I always think country before the party. So
Yes,
but we need to get into a party to get into politics, it's normal. But I think all these party politics should stop when the election stops. During the election, you can get into a party and get the nomination and then contest from a party. But once the election is done, forget about the party. Think about the country and get together. And when the government is doing something right, if you're in the opposition, you have to have that backbone to appreciate it and talk about it and help it. And also when the government is doing something wrong, then also you have to have a backbone to criticize it, urge them to do the right thing. So when you if you're a youngster, what I'm saying, what I'm feeding them all, if they really want to get into politics, um, choose a party where your own policies are, uh, I mean,
Represent.
you can't get the 100% match, but at least to get some kind of match. If you have your own policies, you should select a party where you can engage and you can agree on their policies. And then start with the if you're a youngster, start with the youth. See, in my party, we have already requested our leader. I'm the national, as I said before, I'm the national organizer in our women's wing. So we have asked for 25% of quota. So when the nominations are given, 25% of women definitely should get the nomination. And also we have the same amount, 25 percentage of youth to get. That means 50 percentage of youth and women are definitely going to contest next election. I think all the party leaders, not only our party, all the other party leaders should have uh, that kind of a program where the youth and the women can engage. Um, so, I mean, you can get into politics. I mean, to do politics, you don't have to do to learn politics. Politics. I mean, I have learned political science, but
Ah,
uh,
yes. So
nothing has
in
helped
political
me to
science,
do politics practically in this country. So all those what we
yeah,
have learned. I mean, I know that you did political science, but
yeah. So in like the
I mean,
textbook it
we
says to do politics,
exactly.
you
I
do
mean,
not
our
need
textbooks, we
political
always
knowledge.
learn how to. I mean, we always learn to pass an exam, right? We never use them to practically do something in this country. Even if it's political science, even if it's science, even if it's maths, it has always been like that. So we always study to go and sit in an exam. To do politics, you don't have to have a that kind of a political knowledge, but you have to at least know the constitution, to
Yes,
read the constitution and know your rights, know other people's rights, and also to have a compassion. That's the main thing. Should have some kind of a compassion to
should be
work
able
for
to
people,
empathize with the
because
people.
everyone thinks that
That's
being a
not,
politician is a
yeah,
lottery,
yeah.
because you
All
can
the
you
benefits you
can
get.
earn so much from this
Yes,
power and money. It's so easy, but it's not like that anymore. I'm sure it's not going to be like that in future. You should have some kind of a compassion toward people, and some kind of a you should have a plan. What are you going to do in future? What's your goal in future? What How do you see Sri Lanka in future? So if so, then it's always better to see youngsters get into politics, because as I said before, I was only 23 when I got into politics. I'm 34 now. I'm almost 35 now, and it's always easier when you're young. It's always is easier uh, if you get into politics so young. Then you learn so much. I've learned so much throughout these years. Uh, so yeah, that's the answer for that.
thank you, Hirunika, so much for that. And I believe that answered your question from the audience. Um, Another question, Hirunika, given your long journey in politics, what is the best lesson you've learned, life lesson?
um, See, um, you're there because of people,
Yeah.
and you always think when you're a politician or when you're a public figure, you think that most of these politicians has a huge ego, that they think that they're the better. I mean, there's no one better than them. They're the best, and they're there because of their charisma or luck or whatever, but they forget that they're because of people's people's vote. So they tend to forget why they're there, and the reason, the why they choose politics in the first place. They forget that. That's what I've learned throughout the years, that people can elect you, people can also make sure that if you're not with them, people can make sure that they don't need you anymore. People can you know make you win and make you lose. It's all about people's power. If we if we learn this, if we really get this into our head, then I mean there's there's no problem, because but even Rajapaksas, what they haven't realized is that the power of people, they have always neglected that. They come to power and they just neglect. So now they have realized how much power these, when all the people get together, how much power they have. So I think that's what I've learned throughout the years. Always remember why you are here. And the other thing I've learned is that, when a woman get into politics, it's so easy to, uh, you know, make her uncomfortable, uh, to, you know, mud singlings, and how to, to uh, make her, uh,
Feel
since
not
you're a public figure, it's so easy. Women are very easy targets. It has happened to me for last 10 years. It had always happened to me. I always tell my people, whoever asks this question, I always tell them that I think, um, you know, if you take all the women parliamentarians or women politicians, I I'm the only one who had so much mudslingers throughout the years, and somehow I overcame them. When you're a woman, it's very difficult to do politics, because everyone thinks it's a man's game. Yes, it is a man's game. Even if you take, we had the first female president in this country, first female prime minister, but still it's a man's game. In the parliament, there are 225 people, and only 12 women are there. It's so unfortunate. And 52% of women in this country, 56% of women voters in this country, but still there are only 12 women. The reason is women are so scared to get into this mud pit, because why would they? They have enough examples to learn. It's definitely a mud pit. So that's one of the reasons that women wouldn't get into politics. But I think if you have right set of mind, if you're strong enough to face all this, then why not? Because I've been through so much trauma throughout these years. I think I'm in a place where nothing can affect me. So I think, if your heart knows what you do is right, and if you're not corrupted, that's the main thing. When you're a woman, if you take all these 12 women in the parliament, there's no corruption allegations against them. So it's always better to elect women to the parliament, or to provincial council or urban council, because women are very scared of corruption. So I think I always encourage women to vote for another woman. It's you should, we should advocate that, because if you have three options, if you're a woman, if you can at least select one woman, uh, in a general election, then more women can get into parliament, I think.
Yeah, I think that answers the question, Hirunika. Thank you so much. And now we have to cut towards a short commercial break. This is Politics 2.0 with Hirunika Premachandra and your host, Kai Parker. Do tune in soon after the short commercial break. Hi, and welcome back to Politics 2.0, a sour political review. Today with Kai Parker and our guest Hirunika Premachandra. We are right back after a short commercial break. Just want to remind you that you can call or reach out to us on 078-524-73473, and you could also follow us on our social media app and Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Along with that being said, let's move on to our discussion with Hirunika Premachandra. So, Hirunika, you talked about one of the lessons you've learned, and you talked about how it all relies on the people's power and the people's representation. And the next question I have for you, Hirunika, is so we've all seen and heard certain members of parliament swearing and acting out of decorum in parliament, right? And it's even come to the point where certain members of parliament were used as memes on social media for their use of foul language and their various acts of indiscipline. What is your opinion about behaving in this way during parliamentary sessions? And what's your take on Sri Lankan politics when it comes to decorum, discipline, and all of it? What do you think about it, Hirunika?
I mean, I can remember when I mean during that 52 days incident happened, uh, we could see some of the members of parliament behaved uh, very. I mean, we can't approve the way they behaved. They have put, you know, water into speaker's chair, and they broke mics and public properties. They've damaged public properties. So I think we should have. I mean, the fact that still it's not recovered. I mean, whatever the damage they have done, there's no compensation or nothing like that. I think end of the day, civilians as ourselves, we'd have to pay for that.
Yes.
Uh, I mean, I've heard. I mean, they're going to uh, you know there was this news saying that end of the day the public money, right? So public has to pay for whatever the politicians have done. I think it's unfortunate to see that kind of uh, behavior in the parliament. On the other hand, there's the provocation also. All of them are in you know in a way, sometimes when it's a tense situation, some of them are trying to provocate the other member and get the worst out of that person. It has always happened like that. I mean, sometimes you can see it's a political gimmick because I have been in that parliament for 4 years. Sometimes it stuns me how they behave inside the chamber and how they behave inside the canteen in the rest area. I mean,
It's
they're
all
best of friends.
out basically to fool the
Yeah, I have
citizens.
seen them. I mean, sometimes you won't believe your eyes. The way they behave inside the chamber and how they throw, uh, you know, words at them. And then outside the chamber, when there's no cameras, they're best buddies. So what people have to understand is that because of politics, you might have some kind of a dispute uh, with the neighbor, but no point of doing that anymore because I mean they're best of friends. The best nearest example is now. Even in our dreams, we've never thought the Prohutu and UMP could get together and govern, but they're doing it now.
I
So that's
think
the best example.
you
So
you previously
people have to
this
understand, never fight or have a
two
dispute
things
with your
main.
neighbor or your family members because of these politicians and political parties.
I think you stated this previously during this conversation as well, where you stated that they always try to divide us as individuals with party
It's so
politics.
easy to do that, that's how they govern, divide and govern. So when there's when people are divided, it's so easy for them to win elections. I mean, I always think we should not have political parties based on religion, no, based on race, or based on, especially based on religion. If we can dissolve all these parties, and we can ask all these other minorities or whoever those party members to join whatever there are two main parties. You can join whatever the policies you are more comfortable with.
Towards.
I think we should stop. We should actually dissolve. That's my personal opinion.
So, in your
Political
opinion,
parties based on religion.
basically a bi-party system of government in Sri Lanka instead of the multi-party system that's currently existing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm.
If you take uh, developed countries like USA and UK,
Yeah.
if you're Republican or Democratic, I mean, you can join either party. I mean, obviously there are few small parties, but definitely not
They don't
based
involve
on their.
and culture as their main
Yeah,
trademark, what
yeah.
attracts people to their
This
party.
is what has happened to this country. We've always been divided by the race or the culture or religion. I mean,
I think
it's so
we should,
easy.
as a nation, should be able to identify ourselves as Sri Lankans much rather than identifying
Yeah.
ourselves as a Buddhist, a
See,
Christian, a Catholic, a
this is
Muslim.
what has happened because of this Aragalaya. Now
Yes,
I think youngsters,
yeah, I
this
can
generation has, yeah,
I can personally vouch for this, being a youth and being someone who is active in the Aragalaya as well, that we do not identify ourselves with religions, cultures, or castes. We identify
yeah.
ourselves as Sri Lankans, and we are standard.
That's why I always say it's so refreshing to see so many youngsters uh, have changed their attitudes. So this is why I say with this generation, I think all these, uh, I mean, all these political parties and all these old groups can't play with these young generation. They are so smart. They are two steps ahead of these political leaders, I think.
Hirunika, I think you were a very active participant of the Aragale campaign and everything, of the Aragale movement. I think you said that, this generation is the generation where they stand up for themselves. I think one of the moments we witnessed that is the signposters that were there at the Aragale campaign and everything. I think there was a signpost saying that the government messed with the wrong generation, and I think that kind of
Through
portrays
that.
everything I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Also,
definitely, definitely. That's why I think now I think I'm 35. I'm not in this generation, I think. But you're in this generation. So I think you're much more progressive, much more independent, uh, and your ideas are much more different than even us, I think. So it's a good thing actually.
with that being said, Hirunika, talking about the Aragalaya, right after the Aragalaya ended, and we saw people getting arrested. Hirunika, am I audible? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are facing some minor technical difficulties. We will be right back after a short commercial break. Thank you for tuning in and apologies for the delay.
Hello, I'm sorry. So we had a power cut.
Am I audible, Hirunika?
I can hear you,
Okay, okay, all right.
but I don't think you can see me, right?
I can't see you, but I can barely see you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think we have 15 minutes to
Yes,
15 minutes
yes.
left, so we can do this. That's fine.
All right.
As long as
And
you're fine.
I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I hope that you are
All right, okay.
comfortable. Okay. So moving on, the question is, right after the Aragale, we saw that Aragale participants were arrested in a very unjust and unfair manner. And there were a lot of incidents, and we saw a lot of young lawyers standing up and getting them appeal and bailed out. And we even saw you participating in the Aragale and standing up for the people. What do you think about Sri Lanka's judicial system, and why do you think they did something like this? Why do you think they did all of these unjust arrests?
Yeah, I couldn't get the last part of your question.
So sorry. So the question is, we saw that the government arrested a lot of youth. They even arrested you. And what do you think about it? What do you think about this country's judicial system? Do you think it's corrupted? What's going on?
Definitely, the court system is not corrupted. I wouldn't say that. The reason is that, I mean, you as a law student, you also know that the judges they give their verdict according to the facts and file they.
Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We are facing some minor technical difficulties. Thank you for bearing with us.
I'm so
Hirunika?
sorry. I wasn't actually I was prepared for this, but I didn't know that the power cut is at this time actually. Anyway, I was telling you. So if you take the court system, that we can't blame the judges because
Yes.
since you're a law student, judges they normally give verdicts, whatever the file they receive. from the institution like the Attorney General Department, CID, and the uh, corruption department. What is Alasa Doshan? That's mean uh, corruption department. These are the institutions where uh, prepare files who can file a case against uh, any person. So when there are corrupted, officials, the outcome wouldn't be, um, you know, as we expected. For an example, now my dad's case, my father's case, Shania Besekar, one of the best CID officials, he's the one who investigated the case. So there was no loophole at all in that case, right? There were 125 eyewitnesses. So this has happened during an election. So he had taken 125 statements from those people, and he has all the, you know, um, all the statements and all the he had gone through all the um, you know, officials, and he had gone through all the documents, and he investigated the whole place. He investigated I mean, some people's, residence, and whatever he can do, he did a really good job. Um, so after his investigations, the people who were involved in this murder couldn't get away with it because the case was really tight. The case was really, uh, case was completed.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that the person who were involved in this, even that person got a president pardon, then I could reverse that part. The reason is that the case was so strong. On the other hand, if you take the case of Basil Rajapaksa's Malwana house, you know what has happened in that case. The main suspect, the not main sorry main not main suspect, main person who was supposed to give a statement suddenly changed his statement, saying that I have no idea about this house. So the person first, when the person who gave the statement to the police has completely changed the statement in the court, right? So because of that, the the uh, the court couldn't, uh, court couldn't take on this case. The reason was there was no evidence to prove that this house belongs to that person.
Since there
So it
was
was
no evidence,
completely
since
up
there was no
to
evidence,
the
the
sorry.
judicial system on with. Since there was no evidence, since there was no
There was
witnesses
no
or anything.
evidence against that person because whoever the people who were supposed to give evidence completely changed their statements, right? So there were so
Yeah.
many loopholes in that case. Because of that, that guy, the Basil Rajapaksa, very easily got out of that case. So these are the different cases you can see. It's completely up to the institutions and the officials who are investigating these cases. We can't blame the court system or the judges because they are giving the verdict according to the facts and figures they have in front of them. So this is what we have to change as a country. Whoever the government uh, getting into power within next few years has to they have to make sure that these institutions are completely um, uh, you know uh, First thing, I mean, not corrupted. First thing, the officials are not corrupted. Completely out of politics. Completely out of politicians. Uh, influence. Yeah. So then maybe we can uh, see. I mean, it's not about the judiciary system, but these institutions, if they are independent, then the court system also can do their job better. That's what I think.
I agree with you, Hirunika,
I'm
on
sorry,
this.
there are huge echoing. So whatever I speak, I hear.
Is it okay?
It's echoing. That's fine. That's fine. We have few minutes. We can
Yes, we have
continue.
about 10 minutes more. So, Hirunika, I agree with you on this. I feel like if the judicial system was way more independent, without any influence from people who are responsible for certain cases and everything, I believe that we could move forward in a very more independent and democratic manner. Along with that being said, Hirunika, we have another question from our audience, and the question is, what do you feel about this power cut?
See, this is due to mismanagement and corruption and not having a proper economic policy. It's completely because of these politicians and the government. And I mean, a government cannot give the essential needs, essential services to their citizens. I mean, you, me, myself, and everybody in a huge, I mean, huge struggle right now. In our constitution, sixth paragraph, if you have the constitution, you can read. It says that the government should give their people their essential services. It's a must, right? Government should give their children proper education, proper proper food, Medicare. Uh, I mean, all the essential services. The government is there to do that. But the ironic thing is, end of that paragraph, there's another paragraph saying, even though, okay, even though the government have to do all these things, but the government neglect to do all these things, a citizen cannot file a case against the government. Or the citizen cannot go out and protest against the government. Okay, if you have a time, read that paragraph in sixth paragraph in the constitution. How funny is that? How ironic is that? I mean, this is the reason most of these Aragale people are getting arrested due to this paragraph. I mean,
I think
people who are out there, they're demanding
made.
I mean, their life back, right? They're demanding their normal life back. I mean, if there a government should give us at least amount of peaceful, I mean, mind, least amount of peace to live. I mean, what are we doing as a country? What are we doing as countrymen? Look at us. We are out. We are in dark. You know, we can't do our. I mean, we can't do a proper job. The children can't finish their education. There's no way of traveling to schools or their jobs. Or I mean, we don't have essential. We have the
Given the
needs.
power
So
cuts,
it's so unfortunate.
population.
The government is there to provide all that. If they can't provide that, at least people should have some kind of a power to go out and protest. That also not in the constitution. That's also prevented in the constitution, in 78 constitution. So that's why the previous question that you have asked, people out there protesting, they're not secured at all from the constitution. There's no paragraph securing them for doing protests out there. So even tomorrow, I'm summoned by the CID to give a statement regarding down Ranil Rajapaksa's house few I think month ago. It happened in on July 9th, I think. So I went to the Aragale in the morning. I was surrounded by tear gas, and by the time I came home, I couldn't breathe at all because the tear gas was really uncomfortable. Very, I mean, I have faced tear gas before, but this tear gas was completely different,
Even
and
I
I
witnessed
couldn't breathe
that.
at all. So
Yes.
I was
I mean,
sleeping at home when that Ranil Wickramasinghe's incident happened. But still, they are asking me to come because Ranil Wickramasinghe had said to one of his close people, I mean, I got this from a very uh, confidential source, and also, I mean, I'm sure about the source. So he had said, Hirunika is the one who showed my Flower Road house to public. I mean, she should have not go there. If she's the one who went there and showed the Flower Road house to public. So that's one of the reasons that public came there and protested in front of my house. That's what he has said. So I think maybe because of that statement, the CID had summoned me to come to the CID tomorrow in the morning.
Hirunika, moving on, I think it is truly detrimental, and I hope that everything goes well. We have a lovely comment, Hirunika, given the situation. This first comment is we'll probably need a part two of this interview, so hopefully we can have another session. And the other comment that I wanted to bring into light was whatever power cut, Hirunika is like a sunshine. So we have a little compliment for you.
Oh, that's
Apologies again, ladies and gentlemen. We are facing slight technical difficulty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Politics 2.0 with Kai Parker and our guest Hirunika Premachandra after slight technical difficulty. And we are about to wrap up our show with a final question. So, Hirunika, the final question for you today is will will our country's situation improve in the upcoming years to come with all of the changes that this new parliament, this new government is planning to instill, or do you think it will deteriorate more given the country situation? What do you think will happen in the future?
well. I'm definitely optimistic, but I have no trust in this government or this president. But I'm sure if a general election comes up next year, people have complete power to elect whoever they like. If they don't like the current parliamentarians in the parliament, they can select a new 225. That's fine. Then let's start from there. Yeah, I'm sure, and I urge all the youngsters, at least when you're voting for someone, you have three votes. If you have a youngster in the list, young boy or a girl in the list, please vote for that person. And I urge all the women, if you have a woman in the list, give one vote to a woman. Okay, and I'm sure next year will be definitely a difficult year, but I'm sure there will be a silver line, probably after March next year, if we have a general election. We need to have a new constitution. That's what I think. Not amendments, but a new constitution. If you read the constitution, there are so many faults that we have to reverse. I mean, the people in this country are not gaining anything with this constitution. Only politicians are protected with the constitution, current constitution. And so you can see during this time, whoever the president, who prime minister, who whoever amended this constitution have amended it for their own gain. Nothing has happened to the countrymen. So I think we need to have a proper new constitution, new laws. Developed countries, I mean, they always there are new laws when there are. I mean, when the time just goes by, some new incident happen. The law always change with the time, right? We
Yeah.
still have, I don't know how many years old laws. For an example, if you take LGBT community, it's so unfortunate to tell you that if you see same sex uh, two people standing out, holding hands, it's a criminal offense. And also, did you know if a gay man lives with another gay man in a house, a private property, that's also a criminal offense. I mean, it's so unfortunate. So
It
the
is.
laws should change with the time. So these are the things that we should change in future. And also, whoever the government, whoever the leader govern this country should have a backbone to take decisions despite all these, I mean, good decisions, despite this despite religion, I mean, these some religion leaders' opinions,
Someone
maybe
who is independent
trade
and
union
has,
leaders' opinions.
without being influenced by third parties, basically.
Exactly. I mean, I can remember when I was in the parliament, we formed this really good book for seventh grade. This book is about Hate Ape Pota. It's about the changes of your body when you hit the puberty, and the sexual interest. What's a good touch? What's a bad touch? It's a very normal book, right? Even though we teach them into the seventh grade in developed countries, when you're 4 years, 5 years old, normally in school they don't know. Normally in Montessori's or preschools, they don't teach you how to do maths or how to write. They teach you how to behave in public, how to go do your, I mean, private work in the toilet. What's a good touch, what's a bad touch is. These are the things that in those
These are
countries,
basic. These are basic
it's
life
very
skills.
normal.
Yes, it
But
is.
in our country, it's a very taboo subject.
It is.
So can you remember in we did this. We did this when we were in the parliament. We formed this book, and who were the people who came to criticize the book?
It
Were
was
some
religious.
religious
Yes.
monks. So they said after reading all these books, youngsters, I mean, they tend to do, they tend to behave badly, or maybe they just their mind get, you know,
I feel that
corrupted or something like that.
why there is a lot of issues in Sri Lanka regarding sexual health and everything is because that our younger generation is not properly informed. Our education system does not inculcate a curriculum
Yeah.
where we are taught.
My question is, Kai, what is those religion leaders or those monks? What kind of a uh, background do they have to talk about the sexual education? They are there because they let go everything. Why do they become a monk? They just let go everything and they're looking for a light in their life, right?
Need
Some
to.
kind of they're just following some kind of a path.
Yes.
So I mean, if they want to involve in this kind of conversation, they should get into a different profession. That's what I think. So I think whoever the leader comes in future has to have some kind of a backbone to tell them, those religion leaders or whoever, to stay in the temple, stay in the church. We look after the country. If there's something, some kind of a religion problem, then we'll come and get uh, some ideas from you. So these are the things that I expect from whoever the leader comes in next.
Thank you so much, Hirunika. And we hope that in the future we get a leader who is not influenced by third parties. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time for the show for tonight. And I would love to take this moment to thank Hirunika Premachandra for being with us on our show, despite all the technical difficulties and things she's facing right now.
Doing out.
Thank you, Hirunika, for joining in with us. This
Thank,
is Politics
thank you
2.
so much, Guy. I'm so sorry about this. What has happened just now, because we don't have power, and I'm sure
Thing that
it's a
everyone is.
difficult time. But thank you so much for inviting me. I
Thank you
hope
so
the
much.
interview went good. We'll
Thank
meet
you so
up again. We'll talk again.
We definitely will. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we will be wrapping up our show, Politics 2.0, with Kai Parker and our guest, Hirunika Premachandra. Before I wrap up, I would like to remind you that you can call or text us on 078 524 73473, and you can download our app on the Play Store or App Store so that you can tune in to us wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Along with that, do follow us on our social media pages to view this program again so that you can keep up with us. You can talk to us. You can give us your opinion about what's going on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And with that, I would like to conclude the show. Thank you so much for tuning in.